time for Dave101.
I'm telling you, there is a lot to be said about our conversation with Sean Forker about the great debate of what Sasquatch is. Is it a living, breathing creature that is flesh and blood that we just have not found the body of yet to prove scientifically that this creature is real? Or is it what many other people believe, that it is supernatural, paranormal, maybe something from an interdimension? Maybe it's alien. The one thing that I wanted to talk about regarding this entire debate, it's not so much about Sasquatch, it's about respect. The respect that we have seemed to have lost recently over the last couple of years regarding having differing opinions of what everything is in the paranormal realm. Look, everything is paranormal, all right? If we can't explain it, it's paranormal. That's just simple science. If it's not normal, it's paranormal. Yet, for some reason, we have turned on each other instead of helping each other out in these fields. And why this has happened is a plethora of reasons. Some people are tired of anecdotal stories of people claiming to have fascinating encounters with creatures that should only be seen in the sci-fi section or the fiction section of a library or a comic book store. There are those out there who believe that if it isn't scientifically proven, it doesn't exist, and they are staunch and steadfast with that opinion. But the one thing that we have learned through this entire genre, and I haven't been around that long, only about 7+ years. That's nothing compared to the people who've been doing this for literally decades, some more than half to 3/4 of their lives. But Sean brought up a very good point, and that is we have to be open-minded to understand what we are looking for. It is okay to have an opinion, but it is not okay to rule anything out before you've either investigated it or proven it doesn't exist. That goes for UFOs. It goes for aliens. It goes for ghosts. It goes for intuition. It goes for near-death experiences, places like heaven and hell, and everything that surrounds us. Now, why in the paranormal field we are getting so mad, so angry, and so vicious towards one another when we are all searching for the same goals is really baffling to me. Whatever happened to the good old days where we could have a conversation, and even though we agree to disagree, we still show respect for each other? Well, a lot of that has to do with social media. Social media, as beneficial as it has been for shows like ours and many other millions of platforms, to be honest, okay, has caused major rifts. People who have differing opinions or just decide that they don't like someone, all you have to do is create another profile or two and get the ball rolling because you're offended, or you don't like the way a person talks, or you don't like the way a person investigates, or the fact that they're into the woo and you are not. For some reason, we've developed an attack mode that seems to happen through podcasts, through YouTube channels, through social media posts on everything from Facebook to Twitter, Instagram, every place you can. Because everybody is a tough guy or a tough girl or a tough non-binary when they're hiding behind a keyboard. You know, let's face it, 60%, and that's probably a low percentage, of what we say on the internet, we would never, ever say to someone's face. Why? when you are in someone's face, you can see their emotion. You can see their compassion. And damn it, you can still feel when you hurt someone's feelings. Look, when you step into the public eye, like I have and many others have, it opens you up to criticism. That is part of the rules of the game. You know that going in. You know you have to build a thick skin, even though maybe some of us can't. And you know the criticism is going to be right there for you. It could be somebody who doesn't like the way you look, somebody who doesn't like the way you sound, somebody who doesn't like your opinion, or the way you dress, or the way you shave, or the way you cut your hair. And heaven forbid, my hair hasn't seen scissors in a long, long time. But you would never, ever say that to a person. You would never, ever go to a UFO conference or a paranormal conference and tell somebody how moronic and idiotic their thoughts were because they differ from yours. One of the things that we need to do as investigators and fans of this field is we need to start holding people accountable. Look, you don't have to like Lou Elizondo or what he stands for or where he worked or what he's doing, but at least show the human some respect. You don't have to like the Bigfoot Research Organization, which I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of their policies. It has nothing to do with the people that are in there. And I have no problem saying that. But on social media and within these Facebook groups, Twitter and Discord channels and everything that's in between for communication, for some reason, we have become seekers and destroyers if somebody doesn't agree with us. It's not very heartfelt. At times, it's not very comfortable. And it really makes you question whether or not it is worth it to keep going. This is why we see so many people pulling away from public research. They are working on their own for their own benefits of trying to prove that there is something phenomenal going on, which maybe in turn will help the entire world and the fields that this is surrounding. Can you blame them? Not at all. Not at all. You can't blame them because they're tired of the attacks. They're tired of the fakeness. They're tired of the rudeness. They are tired of the childish games that are being played all on social media by keyboard warriors. Look, there is nobody that I know that is even close to solving any of these mysteries, whether it's ghosts, whether it's Sasquatch, life after death, or even where aliens come from. And when you have way more questions than you do potential answers, let alone the real answers, we're not solving anything. Most of us are weekend warriors who just want to do something different than what everybody else does. Look, I used to be a diehard hockey fan and baseball fan and football fan. And now, fast forward 15 years later, I could care less about watching a game on TV, not because I've given up my love of sport, but because these phenomena interest me way more. This is what's piquing my interest. This is real world when you have an encounter and it becomes an itch that you can't scratch because you want it to happen again. It's the same thing when we see people ripping on those who have anecdotal stories of their encounters. Look, I understand that people out there may be a little bit done with all of these he said, she said type stories. We've heard a lot of them. We've heard thousands of them. But you know what? Every year, because of the work we have done in promoting these topics publicly on radio, on television, on satellite radio, on podcasts, on streaming services like YouTube, we have given others the strength to come forward to talk about their encounters. And just because a bunch of old timers out there are tired of these stories doesn't mean we should be shutting people up. Communication is the way to go. Somebody who's brand new out there may have that video, may have that audio, that photograph, or that experience that literally opens us up to an entirely different realm of research. The one thing that I have learned through this entire journey is you should never close any doors, because everything in this field seems to be possible. You don't have to believe it, but you still don't know if it's true or not. Whether that's Eisenhower meeting aliens and trading humans for technology, whether that's Bob Lazar hanging out at Area 51, whether that's people like Kirk Russell, who is the first eyewitness of the Phoenix Lights, whether it's Stefan Mihalik, who got burnt on the chest by a UFO with a weird pattern in Falcon Lake, Manitoba, whether it was Navy divers at Shag Harbor seeing aliens fixing their craft underneath the ocean waters in a very, very fast current underneath the surface. We have thousands, millions of stories. And if we start shutting up these people, especially the newcomers to our field, who have finally built up the strength and the dignity to speak their mind after years of keeping it to themselves, how are we making this field go forward? They don't need that negativity. They don't need that negative Nancy out there who is going to tell them, take their story. I've heard it before. I don't need to hear it again. Who are you? Why are you coming to me with this? Do you know who I am? Yet that's what's happening. This field literally talks from both sides of its mouth. We want more popularity. We want mainstream to take this seriously. We want more government intervention to prove or disprove whether or not these phenomena exist. We want to know what they know about it. Yet on the other side of our mouths, we're saying, shut up, people. Stop telling me your stories. I have zero interest in hearing about lights in the sky or a shadow running through the forest. I've been there, I've seen it, I've heard it all, I've done it all, and I've got the gift cards to prove it. But that's what we're doing. It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right, because it isn't. And we need to do better collectively. It all starts with a conversation. And that's what we need to do. Have civilized conversation. Get back to talking on the phone, not texting. Somebody has an issue with me? Hey, let's talk about it. I'm not afraid to give out my phone number if somebody wants to talk about an issue they have with me, and nor should you. Because here's the thing. The beauty of social media is you always have the block button. And unfortunately, many of us are not using it at the right places or the right times. Keep the stories coming, keep the positivity flowing, and keep the drama to a minimum. That way we can maybe get to a point where we can all start sharing information, and maybe it'll lead us a little bit closer to the answers we want. And that is your Dave 101.